Okay, so I'm going to do a demonstration of the host's actually, hello. Um, I'm going to demonstrate a couple of labs out of chapter 3, sorry, chapter 4 today, the chapter 4 module in Moodle. I'm going to do the host's hospitality lab. Now, as far as I can tell, this is not actually in the book, so follow the instructions you see on the document that I'm about to show you, which is also available in Moodle itself. This is all relevant to what we're doing, but it's not strictly described in the book. I'll be doing this a little bit differently, but you need to follow the instructions exactly as they are in the lab, and you'll do more or less the same thing I do. The reason I'm doing this slightly differently, say, which is to say with a different VM, is that this is something you can do with anything. The etc hosts file, which we'll use, is present on all Linux systems as a static backup to any DNS server that you might have. So let's get going. Okay, so here are my instructions. There is a web page out online that kind of explains what the etc host file does. What we're going to do is to actually dive into using it. Now, if you're doing this, you're going to need your Ubuntu server and your Ubuntu desktop. So what you can do is basically you're going to add some custom hosts. You're going to give server the name of your Ubuntu server. So I could do the same thing. Say, for example, what if for example I had a problem with my infrastructure server, and I wanted to make sure that even with my infrastructure server down, my clients could go find the web server or FTP or Samba or NFS. What I could do is I could use this hosts file as a backup, so that if I type in, say, samba.tstc.local and my name server is not up, Linux will also look at the hosts file, and if the reference is there, it'll try to use it. So let's try this. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to log into my VM. I'm going to go to, let's see, it literally says to go to Facebook. Okay. So let me see, Midori. And Midori. Yeah, that'll work. And we wait. Okay, so Midori took its sweet time loading. I actually got a little bit worried, and I tried to grep for it. What you can do here is PS, of course, is the process command. The AUXF will allow you to look at all processes by all users, and then you can figure out more or less everything you need to know about this process. Its parent process, who owns it, where it's running, and so on and so on and so forth. And so here we go, Midori. So let's go to, just for giggles, let's make sure I still have an IP address. Come on, you. Okay, so yeah, I do. I am not sandboxed. Now, if you're going to do this, and you're going to edit your host file to point, say, your client systems at a server that you've built, you're going to want everything to be in that LAN segment. If you edit the hosts file and you provide a static reference to a dynamically assigned address, that's probably not going to work in the long run. You should only really use host file entry for statically addressed things. Servers, printers, DNS addresses that you would like to use, and so on and so forth. You never ever want to use this sort of thing to help you find, shall we say, a moving target. That's what DNS is for. The host file is a backup to DNS. Okay, so I'm at Facebook. So what we're actually doing here is to be really honest, we are pulling off some shenanigans, some security sneakery. Because what we are going to do, say for example, you have a no Facebook at work policy, or a no Instagram at work policy, or pick the social network of choice that your employees or your users are likely to use in ways which might compromise the security of your organization, or simply reduce their productivity because they're having fun goofing around on the internet when they really ought to be working. So what you could do, what if you point Facebook.com? If you tell the computer that Facebook.com is a local site, say for example, literally localhost, what it will do, rather than to look on the internet, because there's a hosts file entry, it will look there first. It'll decide that Facebook.com is on localhost. It will go there, it will not find it, and bingo! They're not wasting any time or bandwidth anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to go edit the hosts file. So let's see. Let's get ping localhost. Okay, actually, what you should do is ping -4 localhost, because obviously that ::1, that's an IPv6 address, and we don't want that. So that works. And let's see what else. We're going to ping www.facebook.com. Okay. And I don't have any other servers up, so this is good. So obviously what I want the system to do is not find 31, 13, 93, 50, 35 when I ping facebook.com. I want it to find localhost, so that when I actually try to surf using a web browser to Facebook, I get nothing. So what I can do, actually let me, because I really do want to kind of see both of my instructions at the same time. So what I'm going to do is sudo vim, and of course you could do this with gedit or nano or emacs or joe. Whatever text editor you want to use is fine, just as long as you're using sudo to do it. Actually, you know what? Let's make this point a little bit more explicitly. Let's look at the long listing for Etsy hosts. It belongs to root. Now, as a user with sudo privilege, I can sudo vim and then edit this. I cannot do this. Now, one of two things will happen here. Either it will refuse to open the file at all, or it will open the file and it won't let me edit it. So let's find out. Okay, so what we have here, I have localhost. I have my local. Interestingly enough, if I were to ping myself, deb9 net64 client 234 AMP, I would get 127.0.1.1, not 127.0.0.1. And you can see my IPv6. I also see that this is read-only here. So if I were to, warning, changing a read-only file. So it is not going to let me do what I am about to do. Let's see, do 127.127.127.127. Facebook.com. If I do escape::WQ, it will not let me, because I'm me, not editing this with sudo privilege. So, of course, I knew that was going to fail. So, actually, another fun trick. Let's do sudo 123. Okay, no, that's not gonna work. Sudo exclamation point 123. There. So now I can change this. If I do Shift I, pound custom hosts 127.0.0.1. Oh, and of course I don't need that. www.facebook.com. Now, so let me go back to Midori. I will refresh, and it can't find what I'm looking for. So if I go here, if I do, let's look at my history again. So I pinged facebook.com, history item 121. Bang. So it is pinging. It is pinging my loop back, and that's working just fine. But if I were to do, say, links, of course I'm using the textual browser, unable to connect to remote host. That's why. And you can nmap localhost and figure out why this is happening. Do you see port 80 on this screen? No. There is literally not a web server available here. So there's nothing on my local system which can answer that HTTP GET request, or even a TCP session SYN request using port 80, because there's nothing listening. So I have effectively locked myself off of Facebook, which is good, because I don't want to use Facebook on this VM anyway. So, and you can actually do this with all of your systems. If there's a specific site that you want to be able to get to, even if you don't have DNS, you can do that. If there's a specific site you want to be able to not get to in spite of having DNS, you can do that by pointing those addresses, those URLs and FQDNs at your own local host. So let's try the other thing. Ping deb 9 net 64 client 234 amp. See, I pinged myself and I got the 127.0.1.1 instead of 127.0.0.1. So that is a brief rundown of editing your own etc hosts file. Thanks for watching.